welcome to Fangirl Thursday. I am super excited to be here with you guys tonight. My special guest for this evening is none other than the amazingly talented Stacey Rourke. And unless you've been living under a rock, then you had to have heard about her latest book releasing today, Vendetta. I pre-ordered a copy, so it hit my Kindle last night. I have been reading all day, and I have to say I did finish this afternoon. Jury's still out on whether or not I'm speaking to Stacey, so I'm not really sure how well this interview is going to go, but we'll see. It was quite an interesting turn of events, but I loved it nonetheless. No spoilers here. So without further ado, let's bring in Miss Stacey. Hello.
Hi.
I'm so glad you could be here with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me and for speaking to me.
It wasn't quite the ending that I expected. I will say something happens, and I was kind of like, really? Really? That person? Really?
Yeah.
It made sense, though, and it fit, but still.
It hurts. It
hurts. It was,
does.
Yeah. We had a journey together.
We did.
I will say this. It was not as brutal as Apocalypse 5 when you read the first chapter and you're like, wow, these are a lot of characters. I need to keep up with these people. And you're like me and you get out the notebook and you've literally written down names and what position is which person because you're thinking, I need to know these people throughout the book. They're important. They're not important. They all die. They all
start marking their names off as they dropped.
I mean, it's just like rip that piece of paper out, toss it over into the Don't need that. Don't need that. Not at all. You will forever be remembered for that. That is by far the most brutal thing I've ever read. Yeah.
That's what I wanted with that book, with that chapter, though. I wanted to have my readers in this sense that nobody's safe and anybody could be killed at any moment. So how do you do that? You introduce some characters and then you kill every single one of them. So
I think you've kind of been building to that. People that are familiar with your series, you've been with all of your series. In the Crane series, when you ended that one, yeah, I was kind of like, really? That was harsh. That's where we're stopping.
Yeah, that one I was sobbing when I wrote the ending to that series.
I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
And then when you revisited the Conduit series and things you did to people there, I was like, this is apparently a new thing. And then by the time we got to Apocalypse 5, I don't even know why I was surprised at that point because everything had led up to just annihilation of everybody.
Yeah, I won't hurt the pets and I won't hurt children. All
Thank
my
goodness.
other characters are up for grabs.
I remember when you first started writing the Octavia Hollow series, I'm like, okay, there's a pig. At any point in time, does this pig get harmed? Because
you threatened my life.
I can't read it if anything happens. And so there is one where the pig gets kidnapped or whatnot, and you're like, I'm going to go ahead and warn you. The pig is going to be just fine, Lynn.
He's all right. Calm down. He's okay.
I needed that. I really did. I needed that. We have some people that have popped in and joined us. We have Melanie Gilbert, we have Elizabeth Kirk, and we have Crystal Gray, Jane Curry, and Christy. I'm probably going to murder this last name. Popovitz.
Oh, Chrissy Popovitz.
Okay.
I love her. I love all those people that you just named.
We appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you so much. If you are just popping in, we are here tonight to celebrate the release of Vendetta. It is the final book in this series, and I finished it up today. Haven't written a review yet because I'm still trying to get over that ending. But I have to say, Vincenza's been one of my favorite characters. She's very badass. I like her.
She is.
Very snarky. I like that in your books, that a lot of the characters, especially the main character, usually has that one trait that they're snarky and they are just very take charge. I like that. I love the snarkiness.
Yeah, me too. Obviously. No, I love the character of Vinx. She's very, very tough. She's very, very strong. And again, no spoilers, but there's a scene in Vendetta where she has to look at her reflections of the different points of her life that have made her who she is.
Yes, that was powerful. Oh,
yes. When she looked at that and she
saw
herself, when she saw herself as who she was before, and she went, no, that's not me. And she saw herself as the victim that she was in Veiled, and she went, no, that's not me. And she let go of those parts of her. And then she looked at who she had become. And there's things about her that are monstrous. There's things about her that are not mainstream acceptable, but she accepted that part of herself and she owned it. And
that she did.
She did.
That she did. We have Kelly Martin popping in. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate you popping in. So life's crazy right now, the whole quarantine issue and everything. What new hobbies have you taken up, or what new talent have you discovered that you have?
Well, we talked about this a minute ago, and if alcoholism is a hobby, then I've really yeah. No, I've been homeschooling my children in addition to working from home, which has been very, very stressful for me. But anyone that follows me on Facebook, I have started making, my husband has been making these beautiful candlesticks.
Oh, I have one.
Oh, you have one? Yes, one of our candles that we have made, battery operated decoupaged candles that we
If I just splashed my butt and you guys saw my pajamas, I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I really didn't think about that when I jumped up. I've been in my PJs all day. I took a bath and I brushed my hair for this. But really, that's been about the gist of it. So I put on a nice top, but I have on my sheep pajamas. So if I just showed that to the world, I'm sorry. And if I didn't, carry on. But yeah,
no one's
we did it.
There it is.
I'm always backwards from the camera.
Yep, there we go. Turn it a little bit. Yep, tale as old as time. Yes, all of them. The candles are all sorts of different fandoms. We've done Disney like that. We've done Harry Potter, Supernatural, Outlander, any fandom that people might have, we can make a candle for.
And book covers as well.
Yes, we've done book covers for myself. We've done book covers for other authors. Great thing to have on your table display at book events. So we've been doing a lot of those. I also do book blurbs for other authors, you know, something that makes you want to beat your head on the table, and people come to me and I help you get it market ready. So those are the things I've been working on, and in between trying to keep my kids alive and pouring my next glass of rum so I can get through the day.
I love the candle. It is perfect. I have it on my shelf, and I actually took my collection of fairy tale retellings and put with it. And I put some other little things in there. Like I have this little glass bottle that says, it has a little cork in it and a little tab that comes off that says "Drink Me" from Alice in Wonderland.
Yep.
So I have that. And then I have a little wine glass that has like the skeleton hand wrapped around it. And I have a silver mask and things like that. And I kind of put it all together for my little fairy tale shelf. So
excited. Did you put your fairy tale books on that shelf too?
I posted it on Instagram, so if it's on a,
probably saw it and liked it, and you know,
because Rise of the Sea Witch was included in there.
Yay! Oh, hey, you gave me crap about my endings and hurting my characters. That one actually had a happy ending.
That is still one of my absolute favorite books that you have ever written, and hands down, it's the best thing you've ever written. It just, it just has a different feel to it than everything else. It just sort of flowed with the water. I mean, it just, the imagery and everything from that book just really spoke to me. And I just, that will always be my favorite
Thank
book.
you. I love that book. And it was, yeah, I created an entire world under the sea with that one and drew pictures of what it looked like and all the different, the different factions of mermaids that were under there. It was a labor of love, and I'm very, very proud of that book.
It shows and it comes through in that. It really does. Anytime I talk to anybody about your work and everything, I usually start with that. And I'm like, even I won't name names, but I had a conversation with somebody who's in the group. And she was like, I've read some of her stuff and it just wasn't my genre. And I said, forget all of that and go to Rise of the Sea Witch, because that you will love. It's in a different voice, a different vein than anything else that she's written. And if you don't like that one, well then we don't even talk about.
Then get out.
I mean, we just kind of, it's like, I'm very passionate about that one. So I mean, they're all good, but that one will always be my absolute favorite.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
We've had some additional people pop in as well. Or maybe we just got new comments. Let's see. Chrissy called you a pirate.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Kelly Martin said that she is reading book 1 in the series, that she has started it over the quarantine. Kelly, you are going to love the series. It really is good. It is a vampire series, but it's so different than anything else that's out there. It has a very unique voice to it and really brings it into the modern day.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And the biases that people get for no good reason, there's a lot of that is touched on, and yeah, it brings in a lot of modern day political elements into vampirism.
Yes, definitely. That is one of the things that stands out through the entire 3-book series. And there were especially some key points that were brought up in the last book that I went, a little finger there, are we?
I didn't completely get up on my soapbox, but it was implied. It was strongly implied.
But at the same time, I mean, it's not preachy and it's not offensive. So
I hope not.
No, it's not. So if anyone is interested in reaching out to you, how do they need to go about getting in touch with you if they want one of those fantastic candles?
They can get a hold of me, message me on my author page, message me on my Facebook profile, or they can get a hold of me at Rourke Writes, ROURKE Writes, WRITES @gmail.com. Get a hold of me and I can.
She spells, y'all. Even rum-induced, she still spells.
It's only my first glass. Ask me to do it again about 2 of those from now. Oh, look, my kids are coming in the door behind me. They showed up. Where's your sister? She didn't come. Okay, go find her. Oh, one of my children showed up.
We discussed this beforehand that Stacey may have to bow out early in the event that she couldn't find her children, and apparently one has returned and one is still MIA. So if you see us randomly go to a black screen, you'll understand what happened.
Apparently the other one is in the backyard.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go find her. In real life.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. We always have interesting things happening around here. Usually I have a dog that pops in, and usually I have a dog that'll pop in, and there'll be a big head that'll appear in the screen, and she'll just kind of look around, and then her head will go back down, and she'll disappear. And I won't say anything. I'll just let it happen, and then somewhere over in the comments it'll pop up and go, "Was that Lucy? Did I spy Lucy?
Was she there? Bring her back. I love her."
Because usually she's there.
Aw, well now I'm sad she hasn't showed up yet.
Well, I have the door closed and Steven's home, so hopefully she's entertained with him for now.
No. The puppy's
So,
getting in trouble. Did you hear that?
uh-oh. Well, that's what puppies do.
I know. She's a good girl, though. She's a
And
good
you have a new one joining you in a couple of weeks, a little baby.
No. 3 weeks? 3 weeks, I think he's coming home. What? Honey, I'm Facebook Live-in right now. Oh, sorry. She thinks I'm talking to her. Yes, he will be 6 weeks old. No, I guess it's 2 weeks then. It's a little more than 2 weeks. He will be 6 weeks old on Monday, and then on June 4th, we get to go pick him up.
Awesome. I love seeing the pictures of him. I swear I can smell him through Facebook.
He's so cute. Little fluff ball. I can't wait.
I know. Oh my goodness. He's going to be so spoiled.
I know. His sister already is, and he'll be catching up very quickly. I have no doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't wait until you're posting videos of them together terrorizing the sticks in the backyard and bouncing out of that little pool, because yeah, that little pool's not going to last him long at all.
That little pool already has a hole in it because Athena just drags it around and chews on it like a giant chew toy, so she's already punctured it. So
I have gotten one, a small one like that as well, for my pigs. They haven't showed any interest in it yet, which is crazy because they have like a white dish pan that I use for their waterer, and they will drag that around and turn it over and then root all in the mud. And I'm like, why can't you get in the pool and do that?
Because they don't want to. That one's not as much fun.
I don't know if maybe they're just not tall enough to get in and out of the pool comfortably. So we're moving them to a larger pen. And I'm going to dig out an area so that the pool sits down lower, and hoping that that's going to entice them to get in and out of it a little more.
Oh, I hope so.
Because right now they're just dirty.
That's the truth of it. So we could just clean them up a little. That'd be great.
Thank goodness they stay outside. When I first got them, everybody was like, "You're going to keep them in the house?" And I'm like, "No." I mean, I did the first 2 nights only because the temperature dropped suddenly and we went down into the 30s, and we had, just picked them up from their mom, and I'm like, I can't just. So I did. I gave them a bath and they slept in the guest bathroom. But then we moved them outside and put them in their pen, and everything was fine. And they probably would have been fine those first 2 nights, but you want to baby them.
Well, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Are they cuddly? Do they let you love on them?
One does and one does not. I have Pinkerton and Scooter, and Pinkerton, his nickname is Pinky, and he's a black pig, but across his nose is a pink stripe, so Pinky. And Pinkerton was a gangster, and so Scooter's like his sidekick, and he became Scooter because he would you'd look at him and he would zoom across and then he'd zoom back, and then so he gets the zoomies like a puppy.
He gets the zoomies, yeah.
So Scooter. But no, Pinkerton is very inquisitive. He wants to know what I'm doing. I was outside planting some flowers, and he came and he put his feet up over the side of the flower pot and was checking out the dirt, and I put in some petunias, and then I turned around and petunias were gone because Pinky grabbed them and ran off with them. He ate one and he shared one with Scooter, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I intended on planting them and then taking the planter into the front yard where they aren't allowed, but I didn't make it that far. He ate my petunias. So lesson learned, but it was cute. He could get away with it. He comes up to me and he likes to get scratches on his head and around on his jowls and stuff. And yesterday I had gotten dressed to go to dinner, and I went outside and I had let them run around in the backyard. It's fenced in. So they had run around for about an hour or so, and I was going to put them up. He decided that he was itchy, so he backed up against my leg and he gave it a good scrubbing, which was cute until he stepped away, and I went, "Would you look at my pants? They're black now."
If you would just play in your pool, we wouldn't have this problem.
And Stephen was like, "Well, we're going to dinner. Are you going to change?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going dirty. I don't care at this point." So we went and we had Mexican with the family, and I wore my dirty pants with my black stain across the bottom of my leg. Where
You wore your piggy pants. You wore piggy pants.
I did. I did. You know, with the whole social distancing thing and all that, they're just now starting to open up our restaurants and things, and you're so spread apart. No one ever saw it anyway.
No.
So it's all good. It's all good. Oh. So what's happening with you as far as writing is concerned? Everything's finished now except for one series. What are you working on? What can we expect from you next?
My next series that I'm working on right now is my Fear the Reaper series.
Oh.
And I have a Reaper who she takes the troubled cases. She takes the troubled cases of the souls that maybe don't want to be reaped. So think Jack the Ripper, Lizzie Borden, Rasputin, Lucifer himself. She's the Reaper that goes up against the big bads.
Nice.
So that is what I'm working on right now. The very first one is called Reaper versus Ripper, and it's going to be my Reaper against Jack the Ripper. That's what I'm working on.
Awesome. Now, is that going to be set in a more present day, or is it going to be her like during Jack the Ripper's time, or how's that going to work?
She is rooted in our time, but she travels back because when the souls die, when the person dies, their soul is stuck in a loop until a Reaper comes and reaps their soul.
Oh, okay.
So she travels back to each one of them to reap the troubled cases that other people couldn't.
So we have a time traveling Reaper.
Yeah, we have a time traveling Reaper. In the very beginning of the series, she's up against the entire series opens with her meeting Blackbeard and making him face his sins. And if the great thing about this series that I love so much is it really gets rooted into history. And, you know, you hear the name Blackbeard the pirate and people are like, oh, pirates. Yeah, because, you know, we've glamorized him. But if you do a little research into who Blackbeard really was, he was a horrible human being that did just atrocious things. And those are the things that she's going to make him face when she goes up against him. And it's pretty awesome.
Nice. That sounds really interesting and a very unique take on that. Yes. I really like the time traveling aspect of it. That's yes. Ooh, I can't wait.
So that's what I'm working on right now, and I'm having a lot of fun. It's going to be very similar to the Octavia series. That there are going to be novellas that are going to come out rapid release, and then when they're all done, we're going to have the big box set of the entire thing that people can get.
Awesome. Yeah, so the box set of Octavia, the one big omnibus it's so pretty on the inside.
It is.
I was admiring it today.
Oh, well, it's got pigs on it. Of course
it does. Yeah.
Yes.
For more reason.
It's beautiful. And I love the cover of it with Bacon in his little infant carrier.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. If I try to do that to mine, the neighborhood would probably call the police because of all the squealing that would, yeah.
I think somebody was being murdered.
I didn't get mine young enough that I didn't bring them home where I had to bottle feed them because we got them just before the shutdown with the quarantine and all that. So I didn't go that young, even though you get to bond with them better by doing that. I didn't go that young because I was like, how often do they have to eat? I can't, I'm not going to be home. What am I going to do with this pig? So
you had no idea you would be home.
I know. Who knew? Who knew? Yes, this is where I spend my days. I pop in here at 9 and I pop out at 5. So, yeah. And I have a window so I can let the chickens and the pigs out and I can watch them through the window play and all that. And the dogs, they line up on the floor behind me. And yeah, I have to say, it's been really nice being stuck.
You're going to hate going back to work.
You know, I told my husband, I said, they're really starting to open things up now in Savannah where I work. And I said, I'm dreading the phone call when they tell me I have to come back because they're going to make me put on regular pants. And I mean, my laundry has consisted of pajamas and more pajamas and that's it. Yeah.
I saw a thing today, somebody posted that they said, I just don't see bras making a comeback after this.
I had a live chat with someone this morning, and I ran to the bathroom and threw one on then as a just in case someone walked in or the camera angle moved or I shifted or something. But other than that, yeah, I'm in my pajamas and I'm braless. So
This is just how it is.
no one knows the difference when they call in and they need assistance with their insurance. They don't care. So they have no idea. But yeah, I mean, I've been listening to audiobooks, jamming out with Spotify, listening to crime solving podcasts, and just, yeah, I'm ruined. I don't know how.
I'm broken.
I'm like, I've put gas in my car once. The shop where we take it in for the routine maintenance is calling, and they're like, shouldn't you have been in by now? And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. Before I drove 500 miles a week. So I was in there like every month and a half, 2 months getting the service. And they're like, Michelle, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at home.
Yep.
My car is parked.
I'm getting great gas mileage. Taking gas is lasting me like 3 weeks.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, I've had to go to the doctor for my RA treatments once a month. But other than that, I haven't been leaving. I have, knock on wood, it hasn't been awful in our county as far as the cases and everything is concerned. And my husband's been able to work for whatever reason. Pest control is considered essential. Who knew? But he's had a lot of commercial stuff, so he's been busy. So we are better off than a lot of people are that have been stuck at home with no money and not able to do anything. So I've been very blessed and very fortunate for that. And I will go back to work very reluctantly to the actual office, and I will put on pants, real pants.
I will put on pants.
But it's going to be a struggle. I'm not going to lie. If they would pay me, I would even take a pay cut to stay home at this point, because it's just.
Well, if you think about it, the amount of money it takes for gas and maintenance on your car and eating out and
because pretty much, I mean, it's insurance, so they've had to stay open this whole time, but we're supposed to be like paperless, so everything gets downloaded into our insurance system, and any actual paper mail or anything that comes in gets scanned in on a computer and sent to us via a file. So everything that I do while I'm there, I can do while I'm sitting at home.
That's wonderful.
So yeah, I may have
to. I think you have a solid case to stay home.
They no one's called complaining, so I don't know how much they miss me. I don't know what that says about my job security, but or maybe I'm just that good that I've been able to accomplish it all at home.
Let's go with that one. Let's go with that one. I like that.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that one. So
I think so. It works.
The policies have been renewed. The money's still rolling in, so I can do the same thing from home in my pajamas.
I think so. I think it needs to happen.
It does.
It's safer.
It does. So tell us about this latest book, Vendetta, and about the series as a whole for anyone who hasn't read it.
Veiled was my vampire book that I said I would never write. I looked at, there was Twilight, there's Vampire Academy, there was the Sookie Stackhouse books, there was the Vampire Diaries. There were so many that early in my writing career, I said, I'm never going to write a vampire book. But, you've started writing now too, and you know that sometimes an idea forms and you go, well, crap.
I blame Melanie for all of that. I was a completely sane person who roped me into this. I would jokingly say, I guess maybe my review muse talking to me maybe is a little similar to your writing muse talking to you. No, it's not. Because that writing muse does not know when to shut up. And it's very, very chatty at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
The weirdest times. I don't know if I ever told you the story about Jay kissing me goodbye from work one day and then he left. And I was in my head. He said goodbye to me. I gave him a kiss. I told him I love him. I told him have a good day. I was plotting a story in my head so intently that when I did all those things, I had no idea that I was doing it. And about 20 minutes later, he got a text from me, and I said, where are you? He was like, I left for work about 20 minutes ago. And I was like, oh. He says, you kissed me goodbye. You don't even remember that. I was like, no. I was in my head. I completely missed that. So yeah, that was, but that's how it came about, is that I came up with the story of Veiled, which is this young woman whose family is slaughtered by a hive of vampires, and they leave her for dead. And a team of scientists takes her in, and they alter her DNA, and they give her all of the strengths and abilities of a vampire, but none of their weaknesses. And she's still alive, but all of her body systems are slowed way down. So she has a heartbeat, but it's very hard to detect. She does bleed, but very slowly. And because of this strength, she is able to go into the seedy underbelly of vampire society. And she uncovers a lot of things. There are a lot of truths that things aren't necessarily what she believes. And a war is then brewing between the vampires and the humans. And in book 2, to thwart this war, they wake up the big daddy of all vampires, Vlad the Impaler.
I loved book 2. Book 2 was amazing. And the cover, holy crap, the cover is spectacular.
Vlad's a hottie. He's a hottie.
Yes.
Well, and the fun thing about that is, again, I love to incorporate history in my books. And to his people, Vlad the Impaler was a hero. A lot of people think of him as a monster, but to his people, he was a hero. He kept their land safe. And, you know, they really did put up monuments to him. So that is worked in there a little bit. And then Vlad had such a tragic ending to that book. It was just a drop the mic moment. Yes. And this one picks up pretty much right where that left off, where Vinx is being hunted. And
I remember when book 2 ended, and when you and I and Elizabeth were having a group chat, and that was my statement to you: long live the queen, or something to that effect. And boy,
it became the tagline.
It did. I mean, that ending was just mind blowing. And anyone out there who hasn't read the series, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If vampires are not your thing, this is not your traditional vampire tale. There's not it's not romanticized. It'll give you chills. It really will. And Vlad is a sexy man. Ooh. And in book 3, my goodness.
They get a little steamy in book 3.
They do. They do. It was nice. It's very nice.
Yeah, I turned up the heat with those two a little bit, but they complement each other as characters so much because she is so strong. Mm-hmm. And really, there's only one being in her life that's even remotely as powerful as her, that can counterbalance her, and it's him. And they're the ultimate power couple. I love them.
Yes, definitely. For those of you who are just joining us, thank you so much for popping in with us tonight. We are talking about the Veiled series. The final book, Vendetta, came out today, so make sure you grab it. The covers are amazing. My little photo here does not do them justice. Trust me, you're going to want to own them in paperback. They are all stunning. And for all of you joining us tonight, we have a special little treat. Stacey is going to actually read us an excerpt from the book. Super excited for this. So you tell me when you're ready. I'm going to slide myself out of the screen so I don't distract you at all. And
okay, I'm not used to doing like reading excerpts of my book, so I'm hoping this goes well. I've got it all pulled up here. This is one of my favorite scenes in the book. It's one of the ones I think is the most powerful. So I'm ready when you are.
All right, well, you go ahead.
All right. Wetting my suddenly parched lips, I drew my grandmother's nail file out from my waistband. My fist closed around its ornate handle. Pressing the dull point into my skin just below the bend of my elbow, I dragged it down my wrist. The flesh split in an angry gash. Fat drops of crimson life rained down on the meticulously maintained lawn. But I wasn't done. Shifting the file to my other hand, I repeated this assault on the other side. The night breeze carried the scent of my offering to the throng of the drugged vampires. They paused, glanced my way, toyed with the notion of rerouting. Unfortunately, my wounds closed far too fast, and they ambled on their original course. With a sad smile and steadfast determination, I accepted my fate. I reopened the wounds with fresh swipes and strode straight for the incoming masses. The file never stilled. Moving it from one hand to the other, I kept my blood flowing with slice after slice. My arms were shredded to ribbons, yet healing just as fast. Thankfully, my efforts were not in vain. The infected vamps sniffed the air, growled the ravenous delight, and shifted course. Not wanting to lure them any closer to the house, I rooted myself at the top of the knoll and continued to beckon them to me with the life-giving nectar they couldn't resist. Crashing waves of death charged straight for me, and I welcomed it. In the distance, I heard someone shout my name. I didn't look back. I could only pray whoever it was would turn away before what came next. The mob crested over the knoll, faces pale and ashen, cheeks sunk with starvation. Their eyes were black pools of animalistic need. Vicious snarls exposed snapping fangs. One final time, I reopened the slices in my arms, then tucked the file away. I didn't know my own strength. Not anymore. Maybe I could have taken them all on, but I didn't want to. Though drugged and out of control, they were still my people. I wanted nothing more than to free them from Dorian's thrall. In that moment, the dragon spoke to me, not in a grisly suggestion of glamorized violence, but a lifeline offered in the middle of a raging storm. Retreat into me, my queen. Allow me the honor of taking your pain. I couldn't question what that meant. There wasn't time. Throwing my arms out wide, I let my head fall back and closed my eyes. The force of their strike knocked me to the ground. As my head bounced off the earth, fangs stabbed into me from all around. Oh. My body was jerked in one direction, then the other. The clothing ripped from my frame. Again and again, currents of pain surged into me. I gave all that remained of them to me. I gave all that remained of me to them in offering, and they lapped up my essence in greedy slurps. Black spots swam before my eyes. The cloud of violent hunger writhing above me blocked out the light. With the world blurring in and out of focus, I said a silent prayer that my sacrifice wouldn't be in vain, and welcomed the darkness that consumed me. There you go.
I have chills. Oh my God. I want you to just like read the whole book to me. That was awesome. Oh my gosh. I even teared up when the dragon said that he would take her pain. Oh my goodness.
Well, up until that point, everyone looked at the dragon as an enemy and something to fear. And even in the blurb to the book, it says that she has taken in this entity, this ancient entity that no man could tame. And it's because she gave herself to it. She gave herself to the dragon. And what comes after that, she becomes an entire new species of creature after that. And
I'm covered. All my hairs are standing up. Oh my gosh. I feel electrified. I want to go back and read it all over again now.
Well, and what comes after that? You have that moment where you think that's it for her, but
Yes. I was looking to see how many pages were left when I got to that point. I'm like, what?
She is not. No, she's not.
She is not doing this to me.
No.
I hope all of you loved that as much as I did. Oh, that was awesome.
Thank you.
If you have any questions for Stacey about this book, about this series, about if you're an author and you want more information on the Blurb Doctor, or if you want information on that camera always throws me. If you want more information on the candles that she makes, getting your book covers put on there, or anything, whatever, we're open. It's fair game. Post your questions over there, and we will get those answered for you guys.
Bring it. What you got?
We had a couple of comments pop in. Your niece Sandra's here.
Hi, Sandy. I love you.
Delphinia's here. She was excited to see the dog.
Hi, Delphina.
TJ London is with us.
Hi. I love her. She's so cool. I love all of these people.
When we were talking earlier about if you had to bow out to go find a missing child and how random things like that, just things just happen on this show. Elizabeth reminded me in the comments, she was my first guest on here. And I actually had her on last week and we had technical difficulties and she never got to read her blurb. But she had the blurb and she had an excerpt and all that. And yeah, we just, by the time she got it worked out and she connected back with us, I had shut it all down because, I'm like, okay, well, we've waited. All right, well, we'll just come back to that and we'll get it pre-recorded and posted for you guys. But she was my first guest when I did Fangirl Thursday, and you were my second guest when I first started. And Elizabeth, actually, she reminded me of this. She was breastfeeding during Fangirl Thursday. So we've been in our pajamas, we have been without our bras, and we have breastfed our children. So,
and briefly lost our children.
Yeah.
They're back.
Thank goodness. Let's see. Go ahead and pop in with any questions that you have. Hello, Kathy. Thank you for popping in. Kathy is my buddy from Charleston, South Carolina. She's actually in the insurance business as well. So that's super nice when random people pop in. Love that. Becca is with us as well, if anyone's wondering where the name Vincenza came from.
Right. I named it after her. Becca will be here in Florida with me in 16 days. She's coming down, and she's coming with me to get my little boy Serby, my new puppy. So we're going to have a road trip, her and I, to go get him.
Yes, we had let's see. Oops. Oh. There we go.
I agree. Can't you just read all the books?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. That was amazing. My goosebumps are just now starting to go away. I seriously want to go back and reread the entire book tonight after that. But I know the voice in my head is not going to do it nearly the justice that Stacey just did.
Well, you guys should all send a thank you to my mom because, I was a theater major in college for the first couple of years. So for her to know that I can at least read things, she'll know that she didn't completely waste her money.
Thanks, Mom. It was not a waste. It was awesome. We enjoyed it immensely. I'll be sure to send you a link to the video so you can let your mom know.
I should. Mommy, look. Those theater classes they paid off. I can read my own books really well.
I still very fondly remember when you dressed up and did the opening from the Rise of the Sea Witch book. Oh my gosh. That was awesome.
Oh, that was just a blast. And, the fact that I have friends that do makeup and hair, and when I say to them, hey, I want you to turn me into Ursula, and they're just like, there was no hesitation. They were like, all right, come on, let's do this.
Kathy was late popping in, so she was asking about the series. And if you don't mind just giving us a brief little overview once more about what the series is about for Kathy.
Okay, Kathy. Book 1, there is a character by the name of Vincenza LaRoe. Her family is slaughtered by a hive of vampires, and she's left for dead. And a team of scientists in the Yale facility find her, and they take her in, and they bring her back. They alter her DNA. They give her all the strengths and abilities and outer appearance of a vampire, but none of their weaknesses. So she's allowed to go within the vampire society, and her goal is to bring them down. But when she goes undercover, she finds out that this whole corruption goes a whole lot deeper, enough that it lasts through 3 books. So book 1 is her finding out the truth. Book 2, there's a war that's now brewing between humans and vampires, and they had to wake up Big Daddy Vamp, Vlad the Impaler, who is the lord of all vampires. And
Ooh, then goosebumps for him.
Wake him up, right? Wake up, Daddy. And then in book 3, the queen rises. Vinx becomes the queen of the vampires, and she knows who the villain of all of this is. And now in book 3, she's going to bring him down by any means necessary. And it's a very painful tale, and there's a lot of love, loss, and sacrifice in it, but a lot of good times along the way. And the bond of friends and family in it is also very, very important.
And family is not just blood.
Exactly. Because Vinx loses her family in book 1 and a little bit in book 2, but we won't go into that. But in book 3, she points out that the people that surround her, then those are her family, and her family continues to grow as her calling as the vampire queen grows. It's a big tale.
If there are any other questions for Stacey, just go ahead and get those popped in. I see a lot of people are popping in just to share a little love.
Hi, Lee. Love you. Thanks for being here. Thank you for everyone for sticking with us while I lose my children and we talk about, hi, Vincenza. She was so cute when I told her I was going to name a character after her.
It's such a cool name.
It is. Thanks, Vincenza.
Oh, and there's a dog in the book too. That dog is amazing. So adorable.
Do you guys want a little behind the scenes truth about Vendetta that I probably shouldn't admit, but I'm going to?
Yes.
Those of you that know me quite well know that as I was writing this book, a very sad tragedy happened in our family, that our dog Bo died. And when I wrote Vendetta, I couldn't think about dogs at all. Couldn't. It hurt too bad. So when I wrote Vendetta, Bat Dog was not in it at all. And that was not me choosing to leave him out, but because of my loss of Boba, I couldn't let the thought of him in, and I just completely forgot to write him in. And I went through the first round of edits. Everything was good. And then we got Athena right as, the book is going through the editors. It's getting all fixed up. And then I went, oh, I forgot to put Bat Dog in the book. So my heart was healed by Athena enough that I remembered that Bat Dog needed to be in there. So I then had to go back and write him into the book. And so thanks to Athena, that big hiccup got skipped over. But yeah, that almost happened.
Oops. Well, your beta readers would have caught that. I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because that's yeah.
Well, the funny thing was it happened when we took Athena for like one of her first walks, because my daughter was talking about, the projects I was working on. And she was like, hey, Mom, what series is Bat Dog in? And I went, oh, I forgot to put Bat Dog in Vendetta. So as you read it, go in and go, oh, hey, look, she weaved him into quite a few different scenes. Oops.
I especially like it when he's in bed and he crawls up on the pillow and he just sort of humps at the whole situation. Just so over it. Because that is so my dog. She does that every morning. She's just like, whatever. And speaking of the quarantine that we were talking about earlier, my poor dogs are so spoiled because I literally roll out of bed long enough to walk from one end of the house to the other to go to work.
Yeah. We
I
try.
mean, I still wake up early and let the dogs out and everything, but I prop myself up in bed, and I've been watching Everybody Loves Raymond on
Mhm.
TBS, and I think the other one's, I think it's called Mom
Yeah.
with
With Anna.
Anna. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much what my morning consists of. So when that goes off, I'm like, oh, it's 9 o'clock, and I stroll down the hall. The dogs are like laid out in the bed, and during the day, they come in the office and they visit, and of course, there's snacks in here because
Mhm.
I find that when I take a break in the afternoon I'm working on a book with Melanie, so I pop in and I look to see where we are, and I make notes for myself for what I need to write later. Um, I'm addicted to gummy bears when I'm writing. So
There's always something. There's
I'm going
always
to be as big
something.
as the house, but I'm going to get there with gummy bears. So, and now my husband's feeding my habit. So he even brought home gummy bears. So,
Oh, well, there's worse things. I mean, there's worse things you could be addicted
I mean,
to.
I reach in and I get like 7 or 8 and I toss them on my pad in front of the computer and I'm typing and I pop one in and I like savor the gummy. I don't just chew it up and swallow it. I roll it around in there, dissolve it a little bit, chew on it a little bit. I'm very involved with the gummy. So
It's a whole
it
process.
is a whole process. Yeah.
I'm worried about Athena after this because if you think about it, she has come home to us within the last month.
Mhm,
And like, girlfriend only gets put in her crate at night when she's sleeping. Other than
mhm,
that, she's got the run of things during the day. So when we go back to the world opening up, the fact that she's going to have to go in her crate for a little while during the day, like,
mhm,
and I was trying to tell the girls, my kids, this, that we need to put her in their crate and just go for a bike ride once in a while. And they
mhm,
were mortified by this, and they were like, why would we do that? I said, well, do you ever want to leave the house again? Because she's a puppy, she can't
mhm,
have the run of the house. We have
mhm,
to. So yeah, we're a little worried about that. And we went for one. We went for a bike ride. We put her in her crate. She was fine. She took a nap. It was no big deal. But yeah, she's so spoiled that we're going to have to start doing it more
mhm,
often.
mhm. Yeah, mine are lounging in the bed, or if I get up and make it to the sofa to have coffee and to watch TV from there, um, it's a reclining sofa. So the dog gets up there and I open it up and she lays out on the leg part, and then I go, well, I got to go to work now. And she's like, seriously?
Just got comfortable.
And I'm like, I got to go. And normally they wouldn't eat until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, well, now I still I walk out of my office at noon, and I'm like, okay, it's time for lunch, and they're like, okay, let's eat. So they're looking to be fed at noon as well, and I'm like, I'm just here for a corn dog. I don't know what's happening. And so,
They're
you
up to
know,
3 meals a day. They're loving life. They don't understand.
exactly. There was a couple of mornings when I cooked breakfast and my husband was like, what is up with this? And I'm like, if I do a really good job, can I stay home? He's like, if you find a way to make that car payment. I said, you know what? If I stay home, I don't need that car. We can sell
We
it.
don't need
I've
another
got
car.
that taken care of. I don't need it. I need to go to the doctor once
Problem
a month.
solved.
You just take me to the doctor. I don't need to leave. I'm good. Because people were like, I've got friends calling me and they're like, how are you doing? Are you okay being stuck at home? And I'm like, oh my God, it's heaven. I mean, I could not be happier to be stuck at home.
The hardest part for me is, and I homeschooled my kids at the end of the last school year because we had to,
Mhm,
and we did great. But this year, homeschooling, I have all their different teachers, and they all teach in different methods, and they all like update their programs in all different ways. That is the most stressful thing for me. When I see my kids working and I'm helping them with everything all day, and then I get a message from one of the teachers that like she hasn't turned in any assignments, and I'm going, these kids are
yes,
working
I remember that. You're
nonstop.
like, I had to do it all over again.
And that wasn't the only time that happened. It happened again today that I got a message that she was failing two of her classes. And I'm going, she's working like 5 days a week, all day. I don't understand. So we have to get in there, and I have to fight it out with the teachers and find where these assignments are going. And that's the most stressful part of this whole quarantine for me, is they have like 2 more weeks and then they're done, and I can't wait.
Yeah, it's crazy. Things are starting to open back up here. Some of the restaurants and things have opened. The hairdresser opened, and I got in there immediately because that was just, yeah, I was dying. But it's crazy because you pull up and you wait until the other customer comes out, and then you have to give the hairdresser time to wipe everything down before you can go inside and sit down, and then you have to get a clean cape that no one else has used or touched. And it's weird, usually you're in there and it's hustle and bustle and everybody's chatting and whatnot. And so it was, I went in and I got a little color, and I got a trim, and I'm like, it's kind of weird because it's so quiet in here, and you have to wear a mask and everything. And it was weird. So
yeah. Well, they're talking about opening the Disney parks and stuff end of May, I believe, beginning of June. And that's going to be a whole nother experience. We're annual pass holders, and my husband and I have already talked about it, and we both have said that we're going to let other people go and be the guinea pigs to how all that's going to go down before we even attempt it, because there's going to be so many hiccups. It's going to be such a mess. Their lines, they're trying to doing the social distancing even in lines, which means those lines are going to be wrapped around the entire park. I'm going to let them get that whole mess figured out before we even attempt to go back to any of those.
Definitely. Let's see. We got a message back from Kathy. She's all in now and very excited. I don't know if you can see the little profile picture of her there, but look at all this cute little family.
Aww. Well, Kathy, you need to check out the cover for Vendetta, because the bridal gown with the blood on it was so much fun to create. My cover designer created it. It's absolutely beautiful. But the first round she sent me, there wasn't nearly enough blood. And I remember having to send her a message. Melissa Stevens is the illustrated author, is the one who created it. And I remember having to send her a message and go, Melissa, it's lovely. I need far more blood in here. And she was just like, yes, I'm on it.
I mean, how often do you say that? I need more blood, please.
Exactly. This is cute. Can we really slather on the blood? Hi, Christy. How are you?
I love all the little profile pictures with the puppy dogs in them. I don't see where anyone has popped up with any questions, so I guess you guys are good. I appreciate you coming on here and chatting with me tonight and talking about this book and reading the excerpt and everything. If you were late to the show, or if you happen to pop in later on tonight or tomorrow, you will be able to replay the video on the Facebook page. So no worries. And I will get a link over for Stacey tomorrow so she can share it as well. And we'll get it up on YouTube as well. So it will be everywhere.
Yay! My first time reading an excerpt of one of my books. I've been in this industry for over a decade. That is the first time I've publicly read an excerpt of one of my books.
Yay!
You were my first.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. So again, if you guys out there need any help with your blurbs, make sure you hit Stacey up for that, as well as these fabulous candles. Remember, you can get Tale as Old as Time with the Rose, like I did. You can get, if you're an author, you can get your covers put on there. If you are a fan who just has a favorite cover out there that you love, you could get that added as well.
Any fandom you might have, I can make any of them happen. I've done Star Wars, I've done Game of Thrones, I've done all of them.
Mm-hmm. So awesome. Could you take like a picture of someone and do it?
Yes, I've done 3 memorial candles. one that was of a couple pets that people had that they had lost. I did one.
Mhm.
I did one of someone's grandparents. I did another of the grandkids with the dog. I also recently, Andrea Riviera, who does, those of you that come to Once Upon a Book, she does our registration table all
Yeah,
the time.
she's amazing.
She just got engaged this year. She's getting married next year. So I did one for her. She's a huge Disney fan, and on the front of it, it had from the movie Up. It had the house and the balloons, and it said, "You are my greatest adventure." And then on the back, in a little heart, it had the day that he proposed. He asked, she said yes, and the date. It was absolutely adorable. So anything like that, if anybody wants a special, candle to commemorate a day or a special event in your life, I can do any of them. And it's a lot of fun. I
Is
love them.
awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate you being on here. I'm glad that you have rounded up your dog and both of your kids.
Me too.
We didn't have to fade to black and wonder what was going on. No excuses.
I didn't randomly bolt out of frame.
I appreciate you coming on. Congratulations on the new release. I love it. Love it.
Well, I love you.
I love you too. So, good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're out of here.
Later.